A big step forward for missing persons investigations here in Ohio.
A bipartisan bill from state lawmakers just passed in the State House. It could help families of the missing find answers.
Senior investigator Sarah Goldenberg has been following this legislation from the beginning. She spoke with the lawmakers behind it.
These are the faces of the missing. Hundreds of open cases across Ohio. Now there's a new chance to reunite families. As House Bill 217, the FIND Act, took a step forward, passing unanimously in the Ohio House of Representatives 96-0.
It's exciting. I think when we can get bipartisan legislation across the finish line in the House, it reminds Ohioans that we can work together and we can make an Ohio that works for them. Specifically when it comes to missing people, it reminds the families that their advocacy effort matters.
State Representatives Christine Cockley, a Democrat from Columbus, and Kevin Ritter, a Republican from Marietta, teamed up to introduce this bill last year. It would require law enforcement enter missing persons cases into a national database called NamUs within 30 days of a report being filed. NamUs, established by the Department of Justice, stands for the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. It helps connect missing persons to unidentified remains across the country. This powerful tool can be used by investigators and accessed by the public with a different interface.
If this legislation passes, we're going to be able to bring closure to a lot of those families. In the case of living missing persons, it's going to be a happy reunion. In the case of unidentified folks that have unfortunately passed on, then it's going to bring some closure to those families.
Police are already required to put missing persons cases into several other law enforcement databases. But this measure is an extra step they can take that's been proven to help solve cases, especially cold cases. A lot of the ideas in the FIND Act came from the agencies and investigators who work on these cases themselves during discussions in Governor Mike DeWine's Missing Persons Working Group. 19 Investigates attended one of the sessions last year.
In the case where an investigation goes cold, nobody's more frustrated than the law enforcement officers that are working that case. But unfortunately, sometimes they lack the tools to help them continue to pursue an answer. And we're hopeful that this legislation will give them a very powerful tool that they can use to bring cases to closure.
Representatives Ritter and Cockley want families of the missing out there to know their loved ones and their fight for answers haven't been forgotten.
Do not give up. Your advocacy matters. Your family's experiences matter. And bringing these cases to our attention and talking about them, it's not just for the entertainment of Americans who love true crime. It's because we want to find results for these families. We want to find answers. We want to make a difference.
Another part of the bill would require law enforcement agencies to digitize records of missing persons cases before they destroy them. Something lawmakers hope is already commonplace, but they want to make sure is happening. Next, House Bill 217 moves to the Senate. We'll keep you posted on what happens from there. Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.